Hey, my guys, gals, and non-binary pals, my name is Jerry, and I left MAGA. I also left the Republican Party. So I just wanted to make sure I got that out there. Um, this is just going to be kind of an update. I do now have a hard date set for my guest appearance. I'll be on the God Squad podcast on June 25th of 26, and it'll be an evening thing. There'll be more information on that as we get closer to the event. I'm also looking at a whole bunch of stuff going on in the world, and I'm really not happy about the whole SNAP cuts. Missouri is one of the states that's being affected. I have grandkids; they're on SNAP. There's and there'll be. I'm sure there might be a debate around that claim. Um, but anyway, that's neither here nor there. I do want to say though that I've finally been able to break everything down and and understanding what's going on with my mental health in relation to what's going on in the world and why I'm having the reactions that I'm having. And it's actually rooted in the foundation of the religious trauma that I've been working through or trying to work through. And I think it's going to be easier to move forward now because the foundation of my religious trauma growing up in the Assemblies of God Church is a triad, a combination of Christian dominionism ideology, and then also the ties to the denomination's ties to the FBI and the CIA. For more information about the connections between Christian dominionism and Christian nationalism via the FBI, go check out The Gospel of J. Edgar Hoover by Lerone A. Martin. Great book. It talks heavily about the connection between Billy Graham and J. Edgar Hoover. And I know that Billy Graham's activities in South America led up to in the early 60s, specifically in Santiago, Chile, in '62, 2 years before I was born. But thank goodness for video and the internet. But I know that led to a conversation that was had in Congress in the United States in like '67 or '68. And there were evangelicals that were in South America at the time, and they were having problems with some Catholic priests who leaned into what they called liberation theology. And they were lined up with the workers and the students and the common people against the rich people, which is, as I understand with my understanding, my newer understanding of Jesus, that's very Christ-like. But with Christian dominionism, they can't have that. So that's actually what Operation Condor was about, was Christian dominionism versus liberation theology, dominion theology versus liberation theology. I had to grapple with and have accepted that the Assemblies of God Church supported Operation Condor through their shortwave radio station in Quito, Ecuador. HCJB are the call letters. So I've had a lot to sit with, but despite everything, I mean, that's an ugly triad to look at, right? Dominion theology, the FBI, and the CIA. And I've been able to give that a name to be able to sit with it a little easier. I call it mandated dominionism. That that's a result of like over a decade of working on trying to make myself better, trying to heal from physical and psychological injuries and traumas. The trauma event, and is the trauma is the event, and then there's the recovery, the healing process after. there's been a lot of complex PTSD to work through, and I don't know that I don't know that I'll ever be completely over it, but I'm still working on it. But through my interaction with other human beings, through a decade of therapy before jumping into 3 years of deconstruction, which are the first 3 years of my deconstruction, which included about 10,000 hours of research to learn where these bad ideas came from and how I could correct them, because I didn't want to be a harmful person. I didn't like getting hurt. I was recovering from domestic violence. I did not like getting hurt. And that helped me become more empathetic towards other human beings. And yeah, despite everything that the Assemblies of God Church taught me, I'm a human. I'm going to make mistakes. That doesn't make me a sinner. I don't have to rely on a divine spiritual being or supernatural entity or person to absolve me of my mistakes. That's up to me. That's on me to make my amends. And that's part of the reason why I do what I do. And that's what I really appreciate about the Leaving MAGA organization. They give us a safe space to go. Yeah, there's a lot of processing that goes on. They have regular group meetings for those who've left and family members. Those that, anyway, you go check them out. LeavingMAGA.org. Yeah. But when I left MAGA, I also left the Republican Party. I voted for Harris in 2024. That was the first time in my life. That was the first time in 60 years of living, and 60 minus 18 gives us 42 years of voting. That was the first time I voted straight Republican ticket, and straight Democrat ticket, and I'd only ever voted for a Democrat once before. But yeah, if you can learn to love yourself, it makes it a lot easier to love others. You look at take a look at Peter Thiel, for example. He's an immigrant to the United States. He is openly gay, although homosexuals are not appreciated in MAGA unless you have enough money and just stay out of the limelight, just work things from behind the scenes. Anyway, it's complicated. Roy Cohn, anyway, yeah, he was a self-hating gay Jew. People do horrible things when they don't like themselves. So if you can learn to love yourself, if you can learn to like yourself, if you can go ahead and allow yourself to let go of those things that somehow cause you some sort of grief, something that makes you feel a little unsettled. It's okay to stand up for yourself. It's okay to establish your own moral base, as long as you're not harming others without their consent. Anyway, I'm just kind of rambling here, but I wanted to transmit those ideas. Yeah, I think that's where I'm going to leave it. I'm really looking forward to doing the God Squad podcast as a guest here in a couple of weeks. And I'm looking forward to actually setting a bunch of nonsense aside and getting to work on my books. I think I'm going to be doing my book first, because if I tell my story, it'll make it easier to transition with a better understanding into the work I've done and my research and my history. And that's going to be a lot of work right there. I don't know how that all is all going to turn out. But yeah, from Christian dominionism, to where I am now, actually embracing that whole concept of loving one another. I don't care if somebody prays or not. I don't care who they pray to. It really doesn't matter to me. As long as you're treating our fellow humans as fellow humans, we're probably going to be able to get along. All right, so please take care of yourself so you can help take care of others. Get the rest that you need. Make sure to drink your fluids. And yeah, please always keep front of mind. Mental health matters. We can talk more about those sorts of things later. Got a lot of balls in here. All right, talk to you later.